Chapter 1 of this book provides a comprehensive examination of the pivotal role played by local governments in China's economic development. It weaves together historical precedents, contemporary practices, and theoretical underpinnings to paint a vivid picture of the intricate mechanisms that define governance at the local level. The chapter begins by situating the reader in the sheer scale and complexity of China's administrative divisions, underscoring their diversity and significance. The scale of local economies and the historical context. The narrative opens with a striking comparison. The economy of California, often touted as one of the largest in the world, parallels the economic output of certain Chinese provinces. This analogy sets the stage to illustrate the vast disparities among China's regions. Provinces like Guangdong and Jiangsu exceed countries like Spain and Australia in GDP, while even smaller provinces such as Hunan rank among the top 20 global economies. These comparisons highlight not only the scale, but also the diversity of local economies within China. China's administrative evolution is then explored. Historically, governance was divided into three tiers: central, provincial, and county, but the rapid pace of industrialization and urbanization in the modern era necessitated the development of a more nuanced five-tier system: central, provincial, municipal, county, and township governments. This system, deeply rooted in China's imperial past, has adapted to contemporary demands while retaining echoes of its origins. The administrative structure is far from uniform. Different levels of government hold varying degrees of authority and resources. For example, urban districts often wield more economic power than rural counties, while provincial capitals like Guangzhou and Shanghai enjoy elevated political and economic status. This differentiation introduces layers of complexity in governance, particularly in balancing regional development with national goals. The balancing act: central-local government relations. Central-local government relations form the backbone of the chapter's analysis. Historically, the struggle to maintain unity across China's vast territory has been a recurring theme. The book underscores that while centralization is essential for stability, local autonomy is equally critical for effective governance. This tension, encapsulated in the famous line from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, "Long divided, the world will unite; long united, it will divide," is central to understanding China's governance model. The Constitution articulates this balance by promoting centralized leadership alongside local initiative. Local governments are empowered to manage many aspects of economic development, reflecting their on-the-ground knowledge and proximity to issues. However, this delegation of authority is carefully calibrated to avoid compromising the overarching unity of the state. The interplay of party and government. Integral to this governance model is the role of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, which maintains absolute leadership over governmental functions. While the party sets the strategic direction, local governments execute policies. This intertwining of roles is particularly evident in economic development, where local party secretaries double as key administrators. However, the overlap creates ambiguities, as party and government functions are difficult to delineate precisely. The chapter clarifies that this duality is not without its merits. It enables swift decision-making and aligns local initiatives with national objectives. Yet, it also poses challenges, particularly when local interests clash with broader party directives. Administrative boundaries and governance challenges. A significant portion of the chapter is devoted to the importance of administrative boundaries. These boundaries are shaped by historical, geographical, and cultural factors, influencing governance and resource allocation. For example, sparsely populated regions like Xinjiang and Tibet cover vast areas but house relatively few residents. In contrast, densely populated eastern provinces like Jiangsu manage smaller, tightly integrated jurisdictions. Cultural and linguistic diversity further complicates administration. The chapter discusses how dialects and regional customs create distinct local identities, necessitating tailored governance approaches. These challenges are compounded by economic disparities between regions, particularly in border areas where development often lags due to neglect or geographic isolation. The role of local governments in economic development. The book paints local governments not as passive providers of public services, but as active participants in economic development. Their involvement extends far beyond traditional administrative functions, encompassing production, distribution, and market facilitation. Investment attraction, a core strategy, demonstrates the depth of this engagement. Local governments leverage resources, negotiate with investors, and navigate regulatory hurdles to foster economic growth. A case study of industrial parks and land use policies illustrates this dynamic. Local governments, as landowners, often offer industrial land at discounted rates to attract businesses. They also invest heavily in infrastructure, providing utilities and transport networks to support industrial activity. These actions, while beneficial for economic growth, also create challenges, such as the over-reliance on land-based financing, a topic explored in later chapters. Information, power, and bureaucratic dynamics. One of the chapter's most insightful discussions revolves around the relationship between information and power. Local governments, by virtue of their proximity to the ground, possess critical information that central authorities lack. This asymmetry grants them practical autonomy, enabling them to shape policies and initiatives within their jurisdictions. However, it also creates opportunities for information distortion, particularly when reporting economic data to higher authorities. The narrative provides vivid examples of how local governments have manipulated GDP figures to align with central growth targets. These practices, while highlighting the pressures faced by local officials, also underscore the challenges of ensuring accountability within a decentralized system. The chapter also examines the role of China's bureaucratic system in managing these dynamics. Drawing from historical practices like the imperial examination system, it showcases how meritocratic principles continue to underpin governance. However, modern bureaucratic challenges, such as balancing centralized oversight with local discretion, remain significant. Economic integration and administrative reforms. Administrative boundaries not only shape governance, but also influence economic integration. The chapter discusses how border regions, often referred to as no man's lands, struggle to attract investment and develop infrastructure. These areas, typically located at the peripheries of provinces, face unique challenges due to their geographic and cultural isolation. Reforms aimed at integrating these regions, such as the creation of metropolitan areas and economic clusters, are explored. Initiatives like the Yangtze River Delta integration and the Greater Bay Area strategy illustrate how regional planning can overcome the limitations of traditional administrative boundaries. These efforts aim to standardize public services, enhance connectivity, and foster economic synergies across regions. Incentives, autonomy, and the future of governance. The chapter concludes with an exploration of the principles guiding the division of responsibilities between central and local governments. Three key principles: economies of scale, information complexity, and incentive compatibility, are identified as critical for effective governance. These principles ensure that responsibilities are allocated to the level of government best equipped to manage them, balancing efficiency with local autonomy. Incentive compatibility is particularly emphasized. The chapter argues that aligning the goals of central and local governments is essential for sustainable development. This alignment requires clear delineation of responsibilities, stable policy frameworks, and mechanisms to share the benefits and risks of economic initiatives. Conclusion. Chapter 1 serves as a foundational analysis of China's local governance system, blending historical insights with contemporary observations. It underscores the centrality of local governments in driving economic development while navigating the challenges of decentralization, diversity, and accountability. By providing a nuanced understanding of the interplay between administrative structures, economic imperatives, and political dynamics, the chapter sets the stage for deeper exploration of fiscal management and macroeconomic phenomena in subsequent sections.